Hello, everybody. My name is Melissa Loveton, and I have with me today Laura Henzelka, who is Vice President with Guaranteed Rate Affinity, a very big national lender I partner with often. And Laura is here today to talk us through various topics, one of which, the first one we're going to start with, is what is the impact of the Fed rates? What can we expect in coming up, and how does that impact today's home buyer? So Laura, if we could, please start with discussing the increase in the Fed rates. We've had several of them. We just had one yesterday, I think, 0.75%. Can you please share with us what the impact of the Fed rate increase is on home mortgages?
Absolutely. So the first thing is, a lot of times when people hear that the Fed raised rates 0.75%, they automatically think that mortgage rates went up 0.75%. Luckily, that's not the case. So what the Fed funds rate is it's actually the overnight borrowing rate that the Fed charges banks when they lend money to each other. So that's what that is.
Okay, so we just had an increase yesterday at 0.75%, which I just mentioned. That being the case, is that a one-for-one trade? Does that mean mortgage rates went up by 0.75%?
It does not. So what happens is, a common question that I get is, how does the Fed funds rate impact mortgage rates? Do they go up? Do they go down? What happens here? So, the movement of the Fed funds rate doesn't impact mortgage rates directly. What you have to remember, and what most people don't know, is what drives mortgage rates up is inflation. And so what the Fed is doing when they raise the federal funds rate is they're combating inflation. They're trying to cool down the economy and settle down spending. So eventually, and right now, inflation is at a 42-year high. So that's why we've had so many federal rate hikes, and we're probably going to have a few more, to be honest with you, before it's all said and done. But once they cool down the economy and they get inflation under control, we should actually see mortgage rates decline after we've had all of these federal rate hikes. So these federal rate hikes can actually be a good thing to mortgages in the long term.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like you see some hope for rates coming back down in the future. We don't know that time frame. Could be months, could be years, right?
Exactly.
So how does that affect a home buyer today who has a need or desire to buy new homes, and they're wrestling with, should I wait? Should I buy now? How would you address that?
And that's a great question. It's one that I get often, because somebody may be sitting on the fence going, should I wait until rates come down? Well, the first thing is, we're not sure when rates are going to come down. It's expected that the Fed's going to raise the federal funds rate probably a couple of times more. So it could be 6 months to a year before we see an improvement in interest rates. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, but unfortunately I don't. So what my advice is to somebody is, buy today, because we are in a great market right now. Prices have stabilized. And if you wait until mortgage rates come down, how much more are you going to pay for that home? And the great news is, we do expect rates to come down, and what most buyers end up doing is refinancing. So you can refinance the rate a couple percent lower, probably. No out-of-pocket costs to do that refinance. So you don't want to pass up on the opportunity of buying a home at the right price today, just for the sake of an interest rate drop.
Okay. Well, it is a fact that inventory has gone up, and although this is still a very strong market in terms of pricing going into it, the prices have somewhat held. They're really not escalating at the rate that they had been. So a buyer buying today is going to want to get their rate locked in as soon as possible. How quickly can you lock down a rate for a home shopper?
Well, that's a great question, and we offer a program that's not available to too many lenders out there, and we call it Lock and Roll. And how it works is this: Your buyer is still looking in the market. We get them pre-qualified and we can actually lock them in at a rate for 90 days while they're shopping, which is great. So we put a
wonderful.
ceiling on what that market rate, what that interest rate would be for them. Now, once they identify a property and they go under contract, we lock in their rate. And we look at rates, or we look at what rates are at that given time. If we lock them in right now at 7.25% and rates are 7% when they go under contract, guess what? They get 7%. If on the other hand, rates have gone up to 7.5% or 8%, they get the 7.25% that we locked them in at. So why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
And there's no cost for that. There's no upfront fee. There's no obligation. It's just it's something that we give them to, to help them through this period.
So if somebody called today and they were inquiring about looking for multiple homes, they contacted you and they were going through the process of getting pre-qualified, can you lock down their rate at that point?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a change, isn't it, from
It is.
a year ago? That's wonderful.
It is.
Okay.
That's a great tool we've rolled out. So
Okay. That is great, Laura. Thank you very much. All right, that is a quick discussion of the Fed rates, and please join us for future discussions with Laura. Bye.